the FBI is no interest.
Molly, does the FBI director have an interest in protecting the president's family?
Well, I think an exchange like this explains why a lot of Americans cared less about whether Christopher Wray has an R by his name and much more about how he is.
Thank you.
Hey, Tom, can you hear me?
I can. I can hear and
Okay.
see you. You got good audio there.
All right, good. So I'll probably go without video, but
Okay.
as long as you can hear me, I'm good.
Hey, Dave, the one thing I don't see under security is the chat function.
That for. What did
We
we,
want to disable the chat.
oh, they took it away already, I think.
Yeah, it's not even there. So, okay.
Yeah, when they did the instructions, yeah, the notes, yeah, it was still there.
Okay.
And then the captions, I think, at the bottom, and the transcription stuff, you just have to enable that. Once we get started.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that.
Um, Hey, do you want to make me co-host temporarily? Just click on the dots next to my name and make me co-host. Then I can at least see what you're seeing, I think.
Oh, here it is. Show captions.
Yeah. Exactly. Show captions.
Okay, so we want okay, and that one, Dave, it doesn't, I don't really have to check anything.
No, I think you just have to select it. You'll know you did it because they'll start showing up at the bottom of your screen, and you can drag it around to get it out of your way, but the transcription will show up on the bottom of your screen.
Yeah, Dave, though, there's no enable auto transcription. I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, I think they changed yeah, sorry about that. What they call it. I think it's just captions, show captions.
Show captions.
Yeah. When they're ready to go.
Yeah, it's not showing that either. Hold on, let me read through this other things.
So I see show captains and I just did it. There it is. So now I'm
Back
seeing,
up and going.
yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I see Jim, Joe, Chip. Greg just texted, he's gonna be 5 minutes late.
There's Greg.
Hey, guys. Sorry about that.
No problem. Was Mickey not gonna be here, Gail, or Dave? Did you hear from him?
I don't recall hearing from him.
He wasn't going to be able to attend this meeting.
Oh, that's right. He did say that. That's right. That was part of the reason we did that vote last month. Yep. Yep.
Okay, how about Kasumi?
She was on a little while ago, so I don't know what happened.
Okay, we'll give her 1 minute here. Oh, maybe we'll get started without her, and we'll make a note when she comes in.
Okay.
Okay, she just texted me. She's connecting from Japan and not sure it's working. We'll try again.
I see her name, so she's trying.
There she is. Okay, why don't we open it up here? Welcome everyone to the town Wakefield Board of Appeals meeting for Wednesday, July 12th. I'm going to start with a roll call. Dave Hatfield,
Here.
Chip Tarbell,
Here.
Jim McBain,
Here.
Joe Pride,
Here.
Greg McIntosh,
Here.
Kasumi Humphries.
Yeah.
And Mike Feely is absent tonight. Just to remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded and will be available on the town's website in the next couple of days. All right, Joe, if you can read the legal notice, please.
I will, Tom. Thank you. Consistent with governor's orders extended certain provisions of the open meeting law. Every effort will be made to allow the public to view and or listen to the meeting in real time. If you don't have a camera or microphone on your computer, you may use the following dial-in number: 1-301-715-8592. Meeting ID 440227, passcode 832424. Please use only dial in or computer, not both, as audio feedback will distort the meeting. This meeting will be audio and video recorded in compliance with the Americans with Disability Act. This location is accessible to people with disabilities. Wakefield provides reasonable accommodations and or language assistance free of charge upon request. If you're a person with a disability and require information or materials in an alternate format, or if you require any other accommodations, please contact the town's disability coordinator, William Renault, town engineer, at 781-246-6308 as far in advance of the event as possible. Every effort will be made to grant your requests. Advance notification will enable the town to make reasonable arrangements to remove an accessibility barrier for you. 1, continued hearings. 2, 24-1, 24-2, Warren W. Magoon and Grace C. Magoon, trustees of the 27 Outlook Road Realty Trusts, application for a special permit under Article 4, Section 190-22A. 1F of the Wakefield zoning bylaw to add an accessory apartment to a single-family dwelling. Application for a variance under Article 10, Section 190-66 of the Wakefield zoning bylaw, seeking a variance from requirements of Article 6 and Table 2 of Article 4, Section 190-22A, 1F, related to the proposed third-story finished attic space. The property is shown on map 3, lot parcel B7A plus of the assessors map, and is located at 27 Outlook Road. 3, 24-3, 24-4. Natalie Matson and Richard Matson, application for variance under Article 10, Section 190-66 of the Wakefield zoning bylaw, seeking a variance from the requirements of Section 190-22A1F of the Wakefield zoning bylaw related to a proposed accessory apartment. Application for a special permit under Article 4, Section 190-22A1F of the Wakefield zoning bylaw to add an accessory apartment to a single-family dwelling. The property is shown as map 9, lot parcel 008 of the assessors map, and is located at 4 West Park Drive. Board of Appeals.
Thank you, Joe.
No problem, Tom.
Before we get started, as we expected, we have some continuances tonight, so I'm going to read those into the record and ask for the board to make a motion to extend them. First one is from Attorney Brian McGrail, dated July 12th, 2023. Relative to Kingman Block LLC, 369 through 371 Main Street, case numbers 2314, 2315, 2316, and 2317. Dear Mr. Chair, please continue this matter until your meeting on August 16th, 2023. This letter will also confirm that the applicant has agreed to extend the time for the board to render and file any decisions until October 31st, 2023. We get a motion to extend and continue
So the continue is to August?
October 31st.
No, that's the extension, right?
The continuance is to August 16th, the extensions to October 31st. I'm sorry, yeah.
All right, so I move that we continue this matter to our August 13th meeting and accept the applicant's request to extend the time for the board to render a decision to October 31st, 2023.
I'll second that. August 16th, though, Dave. I think you said
Oh, sorry.
August 13th.
Sorry, misspoke. Yep.
Yeah, it's August 16th. Okay, regular voting members, Dave,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Another letter from Attorney Brian McGrail dated July 12th, 2023, relative to New Creek LLC, 10 Broadway, case numbers 2339, 2340, 2341, and 2342. Dear Mr. Chair, please continue this matter until your meeting on August 16th, 2023. This letter will also confirm that the applicant has agreed to extend the time for the board to render and file any decisions until October 31st, 2023.
I move that we continue the 10 Broadway hearing to our August 16th meeting and accept the applicant's request to extend the time for the board to render a decision to October 31st, 2023.
Seconded.
Okay, regular voting members, Dave,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Chip,
yes,
and I vote yes. Next letter voted, dated July 12th from Attorney Brian McGrail relative to Mira LLC and Sky Group Investments LLC, 1 Audubon Road, Wakefield, case numbers 2366, 2367, and 2368. Dear Mr. Chair, please continue this matter until your meeting of August 16th, 2023. The letter will also confirm that the applicant has agreed to extend the time for the board to render and file any decisions until October 31st, 2023.
I move that we continue the matter of 1 Audubon Road to our August 16th hearing and accept the applicant's request to extend the time for the board to render a decision till October 31st, 2023.
Seconded.
Okay, regular voting members, Dave,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Chip,
yes,
and I vote yes. Next letter dated July 12th from Attorney Brian McGrail relative to A&E Realty Trust, 460 through 466 and 472 Main Street, Wakefield. Case numbers 2370, 2371, and 2372. Dear Mr. Chair, please continue this matter until your meeting on August 16th, 2023.
I move that we continue this matter to August 16th, 2023 hearing.
Seconded.
Okay, regular voting members, Dave,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Chip,
yes,
and I vote yes. Next letter dated July 12th, 2023 from Attorney Brian McGrail relative to VSET Chum and Tasting Boba LLC, 8 Albion Street, case number 2388. Dear Mr. Chair, please continue this matter until your meeting on August 16th, 2023, and that we are still working on a revised sign design.
I move that we continue this matter to our August 16th, 2023 hearing.
Seconded.
Regular voting members, Dave,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Chip,
yes,
and I vote yes. Okay, so if anyone's here for those matters, you heard that they'll all be continued to our August meeting. First matter still up is case 2351, Dana Rodriguez, application for a special permit under Article 16, Section 190 through 99E, 190 through 100, 190 through 101, C1 of the Wakefield zoning bylaw to allow a wall sign on the Albion Street side of the building. The property is shown as map 12, parcel 12, 154 of the assessors map, and is located at 377 Main Street. Brian, Dana, you guys ready to go?
Yeah, I think Gil had something.
Yeah, we're missing a continuance for 10 Broad, no, for Salem Street, 314, 330, 336. Was there a letter in there, Tom?
Oh, look, it might have stuck together.
Okay,
You are correct. I missed that one.
Okay, good. good.
Why don't we do this one, then we'll come back for we'll continue that one after we handle this matter.
Okay.
Great. Thank you, Tom, Mr. Chair. May I proceed?
Please do.
Right, thank you. For the record, Attorney Brian McGrail representing the applicant, Dana Rodriguez, who is here tonight, and Roger Cooper is also here on behalf of Dana. I think we can be pretty efficient on this. We had a direction from the board. This is on the property at 377 Main, but the sign is on Albion. To make some modifications to the sign, to shorten it, and to kind of make it fit better with the fennials at the end. I think we accomplished that. And if I may, I'm going to share my screen and bring up the revised sign. And Dana, if I don't have the right sign, please let me know. That's kind of an inside joke. What happened was, board members, if you remember at the last hearing, Dana said that he wasn't happy with the sign that we had presented and he wanted to make some changes to it. Well, when Dana's, when the sign company sent me the package to submit before the last hearing, they sent me the wrong one. So this is the one that Dana had picked with them, which I think accomplishes exactly what the board wanted to do at the last meeting. So what we've done is we've shortened it up a little bit. We've brought these pieces on the end in, and we've kind of spaced out the lettering. So we're happy to take any comments from the board.
Anybody?
Well, this is exactly, I think, what we want to see in town as far as a sign, and Dana didn't like the one before this one as well. Unfortunately, like you said, this one was not shown, another one was shown, but I think this follows through with what the board is looking for. So I'm for it, basically.
Agreed.
Anybody else?
Nope.
Okay, Brian, if you could stop sharing. If we're good to go, I think we're ready for a motion.
Should we open up the public just
Oh, yep, sorry.
in case?
Are there any members of the public here that are want to have a comment on this matter? Thanks, Dave. Seeing none, I think now we're ready.
So I will make a motion for you, Mr. Chair. I move that we grant the special permit pursuant to section. Get the section right here. Article 16, section 190-99E, 190-100, 190-101.c.1 of the bylaw to allow the wall sign on the Albion Street side of the property shown as 377 Main Street in accordance with the final sign plan dated June 22nd, 2023. I don't know if we've established any conditions other than the usual, board retaining the right to handle any proposed modifications, or if the sign changes down the line, it would come back to us. But I think other than that, I think we're all set with conditions. So that's the motion.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, regular voting members, Dave,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes,
Chip,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I believe the next matter before us is,
Continuance.
oh yeah, the continuance, sorry. Good catch, Gail. Thank you for that.
He doesn't want to continue that for some reason. He wants to do it.
I haven't been happy with that one anyway. So anyway, letter from Attorney Brian McGrail dated July 12th regarding the Granite Family Trust LLC, 314, 330, and 336 Salem Street in Wakefield, Mass. Case numbers 2343, 2344, 2345, 2346, 2347, 2348, 2349, and 2350. Please continue this matter until your meeting of August 16th, 2023. The letter will also confirm that the applicant has agreed to extend the time for the board to render and file any decisions until October 31st, 2023.
I move that we continue this hearing to our August 16th, 2023 meeting and accept their applicant's request for the board to render a decision until October 31st, 2023.
Seconded.
Okay, regular voting members, Dave,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Jim,
yes,
Chip,
Yes.
and I vote yes. Okay, the next matter up is S&C Realty Investments, application for modification of signage from prior zoning board of appeal decisions and approvals. Properties located at 620 and 632 Main Street.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Michael McCarthy, representing the applicant. Sean Donovan joins us again, as he did the last hearing, from Viewpoint of Signs. Similar to your just previous hearing with Brian, we covered a lot of ground in our meeting last week. We were sent home with the task of modifying drawings. And, Jim was nice and good enough to discuss this with the authority of the board with Sean, and specifically the subject, as I understand it, was the question of whether or not the signs on what I'll call the marquee were consistent with or in violation of the 36-inch height over the roof line. And we were asked to provide some data and some dimensions on that. So I believe Sean has done that with Jim, and we can turn to that in a second. In the meantime, there's a second issue. I don't really think it rises to the level of an issue, but the building inspector, in talking to my client, wanted to make sure that the board was okay with the building colors. And I have some slides which will show you the proposed colors. Essentially, the existing building has some corporate coloring on the outside of it, and the proposal would basically reformat them to be consistent with the new signs and the new standard for the franchisor. You cross this bridge with 518 Salem Street as well. I don't think Jim may disagree. I don't know, but I don't think this technically is signage under the bylaw. But nonetheless, we are seeking modification of prior permits. So, I think it's fair game if the board wanted to discuss the coloring of the building. We can run that by you, but I don't think it's anything inconsistent with what you've done before or with good taste. So, Mr. Chairman, I guess with your permission, I'd defer at this point to Sean and Jim with regard to the first issue on the height of the signs, if that's okay. And if that's okay.
What I'd like to, just a quick note, Mike, we've been having a practice of getting materials on the Friday before the hearing. I think we got a light agenda tonight, so if no one has any objections, I don't mind going forward. But just for future practice, if you could be aware of that.
I am, and I apologize. This issue was brought to me today.
Oh, okay.
Fair
enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
I don't think it falls within the four square of the signage anyway, but I only was alerted to it today.
So let me drop in here for a moment. I don't consider the colors on the building to be the part of the signage. The signage is, we've already outlined the signage. They've corrected their documents, basically reflect the previous discussion on what Sean has done. So, and I'm good with all of that at this point. So, but I had said to Mike, basically, that you might want to just go over the aesthetics of the building, basically, and what's being changed. And it will be up to the board to make that decision. It's not a signage issue from my side at this moment. And again, this is under the old code, not the overlay code. Keep that in mind.
With your permission, then I'd like to try to share. I'm not that good at it. The new aesthetic coloring. Is that okay?
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
Okay. See what I can do. So this is essentially it. You could refer to the prior pictures, and I can migrate to them as well. But this is essentially the coloring. There are two elevations showing, the corporate colors. This is one, and this is the other. So there's nothing stark, I would suggest, or offensive about it. And it's probably less corporate coloring that exists there before. But as Jim said, and I agree, I said the same thing. It's not part of the signage, but it's fair for discussion if the board would like to discuss it. It's consistent with what was approved at 518 in their modification petition as well, 518 Salem Street, which is the Dunkin' Donuts down on the Linfield line by Audubon Road.
So, Mr. Chair, if I could, through you, are we talking about the building, the gray? What specifically you're referring to?
You know what? It was the building inspector's comment to my client. I think it has to do with the orange and maybe the purple. because those are corporate colors. I don't think he was making an issue of it, but he made a comment to my client, just make sure the board's okay with the color of the building. And I think that was a reference to to the so-called, what I would call the corporate colors. The orange is already there on the existing building,
Oh, okay.
but just to cover the base, because the building inspector asked it. Again, I don't think it's within the four squares of the sign bylaw, but building inspector said, can you make sure that the board sees it? So that's what we're doing. We're not asking for necessarily, although it was part of the approval of 518. I suppose they had the same approach.
Well, when we, just a reminder to everybody that wasn't there or was there when we talked about the one on Salem Street, is that was an entirely new building, and we were looking for something a little more aesthetic to the street. This is not, in a way, not much of a change. It's just a recladding of the building, and I believe you're right, Mike, in saying that there's less orange on this than there is on the current one. So from my perspective, I don't have any issue with it, quite frankly.
Okay, anybody else?
Nope. But is there an update to the sign plan from what we saw last time, or was just confirmation of some numbers?
It was a schematic. Let me put it up.
Okay.
Go for it here.
Yes, there is new drawings reflect the things we talked about last time. So it should have sent into the file basically as the final version.
Sorry, I'm trying to get this. Do this, close a couple things. All right, there it is. So I couldn't begin to explain this, but this is the mock-up that that Jim and Sean, I think we're going over to make sure
This explains the changes we made to the elevations to accommodate the sign in those proposed drawings. But these aren't the sign drawings. This is just to show how we're going to make the changes necessary to get our signs through. The GC would, instead of building the monolith as high as originally proposed, he's going to lower it. And what you see highlighted in the blue will be the new monolith heights, which kind of match the existing of the half rounds that are there. And this allows us to bring the signage down, that fascia panel down, to get the 3 feet off the actual roof line. And that's what that red perf line is. That's the true roof line. And the sign's proposed to be that high, at 3 feet to the top.
But you still have other drawings that are the actual signs updated from the last time as well.
Yeah. That'd be that multi-page PDF I sent you.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. I'll get that up. I think, is this it here?
Yep, that should be it. So you'll see we've indicated on our drawing, if you were to zoom in, you'd see that we're indicating the true roof line is the perf blue line you see. The top of our letters will be 3 feet from the true roof line. And everything is going to be lower. And what we did is we edited the architect's drawings to accommodate the needs.
That's
So that last drawing had 4'6". What was that? Was that the old height?
Yeah,
4'6"?
that was, I was explaining that's what the top of the monoliths would be.
Oh, okay, so
from the
then,
true
so the
roof.
lettering would be 3 feet.
Yeah.
4'6"
So
would be the height.
the sign will be top of the sign will be 3 feet from the true roof line. Monolith is a little higher, but that's not the sign. It's the monolith, it's the build out. And that's what it is now. If you look at the existing, you see that we call it the half round, that brown half round there.
Mhm.
That would be about the same height. That's probably about 4'6", give or take, currently.
Yeah, it looks good
What's
to
the
me.
date of these plans?
And this is the side
Uh,
elevation. Same
the
set of
date-
channels.
The date's at the bottom. Let me zoom in.
7/6, July 6th. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, I
this
can
is-
tell you the date. It was modified on July 6th.
So these weren't the plans that we saw 2 weeks ago. These have been updated?
No. And the change is slight. It's what, like I said, if you look that monolith height at the top of the Duncan where the Duncan sits, we kind of edited that so that we brought it down. And that's what the drawing before was showing is what what the GC is going to do. He's not going to follow the architect's plan. He's going to follow the revised plan with the lower monoliths.
Just by curiosity, you know what the height was on the old one? Was it real? Did you have to shrink it much, or was it?
No, I'm guessing it to be about 4'6" to the top, and that's what the new one will be. So that brown half round is probably about the same. we call it a half round because it's got the radius top, but
Yeah.
that's just aluminum structure. That'll come off and they'll build a new monolith and it'll roughly be about the same.
And they've taken into the calculations, basically, the awning element that's part of the freestanding sign as well. So the calculations are there. As I said last time, they've got a little bit of wiggle room. It was just things like the 3 foot and a few other things. So, so they've updated that with the calculations alike. It's still within the requirements that are under that code.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Nope, other than we got to get a copy of this, right? Because it was not
Yeah.
sent.
I can forward everything right now to Gail.
Yeah,
Okay.
please do. And Dave, did you read any of the letters in from the other Concon Fire Department and DPW last time? Do we need to do that again, or did you do it once?
I think I did it last time.
Okay, I think we're covered. There's
Yeah,
no
no-
comments from any of them, either Concon Fire Department or DPW anyway, so.
If there's anything new since the last hearing, typically Gail will put a new sticky on it, so you know it's some new correspondence that we'd want to read into the record. If not, that we probably covered it last time.
Okay, good. All right, with that then, are there any members of the public that are here that would like to comment on this matter? Seeing none, pleasure of the board. We ready for a motion or?
Think so, happy to do it. So I move that we grant the request for modification of the signage from the prior zoning board of appeals decisions and approvals. In accordance with the plans presented from Viewpoint Sign and Awning dated July 6, 2023. That's the motion.
I'll second that motion.
All right, regular voting members, Dave,
Yes,
Joe,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes,
Chip,
Yes.
and I vote yes. So Mike, if you can just send that stuff to Gail so we have it for the file, that'd be great.
I'll do it right now.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Thank
Bye.
you.
Okay. Next matter, we're on to new hearings is Warren Magoon and Grace Magoon, trustees of 27 Outlook Road Realty Trust.
Thank you.
Brian,
Yep, that's my case, Mr. Chair. Thank you. For the record, Attorney Brian McGrail, representing the Magoon family, owners of property at 27 Outlook Road in Wakefield. They're my neighbors. They live right across the street virtually, and they're requesting some relief in a special permit for an accessory apartment. This matter was before the board last year, and the board approved this. A variance was granted to allow an addition or extension of the house for the accessory apartment and to a special permit for this accessory apartment. When the Magoons dove into the process after the approval on getting bids, they found out that the financial feasibility was not going to work. So they decided not to go forward with it. So subsequently, the variance and special permit that were granted at that time have lapsed with no further effect. What they've done is they've actually reduced the project in scope and want to move forward without doing an addition to the house, to do it within the house. And so they're requesting what they're doing is they're requesting a variance, and the variance is in two parts, similar to what was done with Lantern Lane at the last meeting, except it's not for an addition to the house. The variance is to allow the existing attic space to be finished, so it would be technically a story, and would be 3 stories with only 2.5 allowed in the single residence district. Again, with no exterior alteration to the roof line or the house. It can all be done within that roof line. And then it would be for the board to decide, is that an extension under the accessory apartment So with the accessory apartment, says that the accessory apartment shall not involve an extension or enlargement of the principal dwelling. You know, where you're not changing the footprint of the volume, you know, I don't think it does, but I wanted to raise that issue for the board to contemplate. And then obviously, the special permit. So if I could share my screen, Mr. Chair, that's okay with you, I'll kind of,
Please do.
I'll outline to the board what, you know, kind of where we are, you know, the plans for this. I thought it'd be helpful to refresh the board's memory on what they had planned to do before. So this is the site plan from the last approval. And it was a proposed addition in the back that was going to become the in-law. So that was the purpose of that addition. And you can kind of see it. Did my screen switch for you guys?
Yes,
Okay, so you see the architectural. So again, this is the old plan. And my cursor shows the outline of the existing house. This out back was the proposed addition, and that's where the accessory apartment was going. So that's what was approved. And let me get to the. So this is the new site plan that we submitted that shows the existing house. And this time there are no additions. That addition on the back has gone away. I also want to point out while the site plan is up, as we go through the standards for the special permit, that this lot clearly meets the lot width requirement of 100 feet, 120 feet of frontage, 200 in the back. And it does meet the minimum lot area requirements. A gigantic lot, only 12,000 square feet is required. And this has 48,000 square feet. So now the architecturals of what they're proposing. So this is a new architectural set. And you can see the addition has gone away. And what they want to do is where there's a couple of bedrooms in the back now, existing back here, and where the garage is up front, that's where they want to incorporate the accessory apartment. As far as the calculations go, again, to point this out while the page is up, the accessory apartment is required, as you know, to be greater than 300 square feet. What's proposed is 830, and it can't be more than 25% of the habitable area of the dwelling. This meets that requirement of 17%. The architectural plans, I'm going to kind of go through them. So this is the existing basement. They're going to do some finish work in the basement to just point that out, that will go with the main house. You'll see that. This is again existing, and this is the 2 bedrooms in the back that are currently there, and the garage that will be made into the accessory apartment. This is the existing second floor. And finally, the existing attic space, which is currently not finished and not habitable. So, and this is the exterior elevations. I think you're going to find the only exterior changes are that the garage doors will go away, which you'll see. And in the back of the house, this roof line is already there. The full dormer is already on the house. They're just proposing to change some windows styling at the top and the back, which no one can really see anyways. So this is now the proposed floor plan. As I mentioned, they're going to do some finishing work in the basement. And this is the proposed first floor. And this is this will become the accessory. It has a kitchen, living area, office, and the bedrooms and closet and bath in the back. And then really no change to the second floor, just doing some renovations to a bathroom and reconfiguring closets and bringing a laundry upstairs. And lastly, this is where the attic space is going to get finished into a game room and a bedroom. And this is the elevations. As I mentioned, what's going to happen is the garage doors are going to go away. And this dormer doesn't change in the back, just some windowing that we had talked about. So that's where we are. So we've applied for a variance to allow a 3rd story. And also a variance for the extension or enlargement of the principal dwelling for the board to contemplate if that's even required here. I would argue that it's not, but I didn't want to let that slip because that's kind of your discretion on how you would interpret that. And then lastly, obviously, the special permit for the accessory apartment. Warren Magoon and his wife Grace will live in the accessory dwelling. And Matt Magoon and his wife Kerry with their children will move in and live in the principal dwelling. Happy to answer any questions, Mr. Chair.
Okay, well, we open it up to the board. Any questions? Comments? And perhaps we can take on the issue if folks believe it's an expansion or not first and settle that. Jim?
Just one quick question. There's no kitchen in this new unit?
Oh, no, there is, Jim. It's where it says living area. You can see it in there. I'll show you. Hold
Oh,
on.
I see it. Yeah, I see where it is.
Just didn't label a kitchen, but it's there.
Yeah, I see it. Okay.
Tom, this is Greg.
Yep.
I just had a comment on your first point there. I guess I would agree with Brian that it's not an extension. Just looking at the language of the bylaw, if you look at, was it 22 or like A1 F6? The language says, but in no case shall it exceed 25% of the habitable area of the dwelling. But then if you look at number 7, it does say the accessory apartment shall not involve the extension or enlargement of the principal dwelling. So it seems like our bylaw does contemplate a difference between the dwelling as a structure and the habitable area with inside. So just from the plain language, it seems like I would agree with Brian. Even though it uses principal dwelling and dwelling interchangeably, it doesn't seem like the most well-written bylaw, but I think
No,
the intent is there.
But and thank you, Greg, and I just wanted to bring it up because if that's what the board decides, I'll reflect it in the draft decision that, you know, that was actually contemplated and not a missed issue.
Brian, I would almost call that third floor like a 2.5 story, no? I mean, it's not really a full third floor, it's a dormer. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't
it's-
consider that a third floor
It's
myself.
an
but-
odd, you know, it's an odd calculation, Joe, because when you look at the definition of story in our bylaw, it's scary. As Greg said, it's not real well written because what it says is it specifically refers to an attic. It says a story which is under a gable, hipped, or gambrel roof where less than 1/2 of the floor area has clear height of 7 feet or more.
Oh.
So it's like, you know, we're just gonna be safe, and not get into a debate of inches under the
Yeah.
roof.
I mean, you're not building that, right? That's already there, it's existing, so to me, it's, yeah, I'm fine with that.
That's a definition of a half story. Well, I misstated, so that's a half story. If
So that would be
less than
2.5.
half of the floor area has a clear height of 7 feet or more,
So I would call that a 2.5 story building.
probably, but
So I would call it. but
I'm not gonna
I
get the
wouldn't-
tape measure out.
No, I hear you. All right, I'm fine with it.
Anybody else?
No, I agree.
Okay.
Other than that, again, the calculations work. It's a straightforward application in that sense, and we've already approved it, and the changes they're talking about now, you know, seem reasonable, so.
I actually think it makes it better because it's no addition. So it brings it more in line with what the bylaw contemplates.
Agreed.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? We do have some correspondence from some of the other boards. On behalf of the Conservation Commission, reviewed the application. It has been determined the subject of proposed work is not within the commission's jurisdiction. Got a note from the DPW as well. There are no applicable comments from DPW engineering at this time. And a note from the Wakefield Fire Department. After reviewing the application, we have no objection to this project. So that's what we have in the file. Are there any members of the public that would like to comment on this matter? Seeing none, bring it back to the board for the pleasure of the board.
Brian, does it matter which order?
No,
I didn't think so. I just wanted to double check.
That would be great if you would, like, actually.
All right. Gotta get back into my rhythm. I used to do a lot of these.
I'm glad I'm not in mine.
All right, so I will move that we grant the request of the applicant for a special permit under Article 4, Section 190-22A1F, the Wakefield zoning bylaw, to add an accessory apartment to a single-family dwelling based on the plans presented to us from Pegasus Design to Build, dated April 7th, 2023.
I'll second
And
that.
oh, sorry, I was just gonna say, and as part of this, we did contemplate the applicant's mention of the work being done for the in the attic space, and we do not consider that an extension, but we did contemplate it. So I just want to make that part of the motion.
Seconded.
Okay, any comments on the motion? Okay, regular voting members, Dave,
Yes,
Joe,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes,
Chip,
Yes,
and I vote yes. So it's approved.
all right. Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we grant the variance requested by the applicant at 27 Outlook Road. Grant the variance under Article 10, Section 190-66 of the Wakefield zoning bylaw to vary the requirements of Article 6 and Table 2 and Article 4, 190-22A1F related to the proposed third story finished attic space as shown on the plans from Pegasus Design to Build dated April 7th, 2023.
Seconded.
Any discussion of the motion? Regular voting members, Dave,
Yes,
Joe,
Yes.
Jim,
yes,
Chip,
yes,
and I vote yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Great, thank you. All right, next matter before us is Natalie Matson and Richard Matson. Application for a variance for a property located at 4 West Park Drive.
I think there's a special permit application there too.
Is there? I'm sorry. Yep, and a special permit application under Article 6, Section 190-22A1F.
Thank God. I'm glad I didn't miss that. So, thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate it. For the record, Attorney Brian McGrail representing Natalie and Richard Matson, the owners of property at 4 West Park Drive. This also is a request for an accessory apartment. And this does involve some modest additions to the property, which again, I think, you know, with a close read of our bylaw, raises a question of whether they are even jurisdictional or qualify as an extension or enlargement for purpose of the bylaw. And I'll get into the detail of that and let the board have a discussion and decide that. But in any event, if you do, we've requested for a variance because they are modest and they actually don't even really minimally change the footprint of the property. I think it's best to start on this one with the site plan because it's part of the architectural plans that were submitted to this. They're pretty extensive because what's happening here is not only are Natalie and Richard adding an accessory apartment, they're doing some real significant renovations to their home at the same time to be efficient while they have contractors there. This is a site plan that we had done. And it shows, you know, again, there are other additions or alterations to the structure, which you'll see in the architectural plans that aren't reflected on the site plan because they deal with the body of the house versus the footprint. But this is just, you know, real modest little additions going on in the back here. And a little proposed deck, some stairs to get in, and a little change in the front. But all of these additions on the site plan, there's no relief required under the bylaw. They meet all of the setback requirements. This is unique. This is a legal conforming lot in the town. So there's nothing non-conforming about this structure. which is rare. As you can see, it has 162 feet of frontage. Only 100 is needed. It has 53,000 square feet of land, gigantic lot. Only 12,000 is needed in this district. It meets the lot width requirement also. I had the engineer check that. And it also meets every setback requirement. More than 20 from the front, 15 on the side, and 1.5 miles from the rear to meet that 25-foot setback. So that's what's happening with the site plan. And again, because the bylaw requires that we meet the minimum lot width in the area, I just wanted to point out at this point in the presentation that we do meet that requirement. Next, I want to show the architectural plans. And these are really detailed plans. So, and I think the architect did a good job. I'm going to take advantage on page 1 where they do the calculations for the board to see. So it's here, and it shows the existing house. It's a big home. The first floor currently has 2,437 square feet. The second floor has 2,017 for a total of 4,454. The proposed first floor is not changing. It stays at 2,437. I had mentioned they're changing some aspects to the kind of the volume of the house upstairs, which you'll see. So that goes from the 20,017 to 2,788. So the total addition is 771. So the accessory unit is 2 floors in this proposal. Part of it is on the first floor, part of it is on the second, for a total of 925 over the 300 feet required under the bylaw. And as far as the percentages, if you went based on the existing, it's 20 and proposed is 17. So it meets it in both cases, even though really proposed is what matters, that we're under that 17 feet. Let me shrink this down so you can see as I go through. This is an existing condition of the first floor. And then this is a existing condition of the second floor. And really what's happening here is the changes there for the additions. They're really expanding this area here for a walk-in closet. And this is storage on the second floor, which is over the garage. And they're changing the roof line of that a little bit. And they're going to put an exercise room there. They currently have it where the accessory apartment is going on in this area, which you'll see in a minute. So these are the existing elevations, which I think you saw. We submitted those. And this is where the changes are going to be to the garage area and to this area here. Nothing in the box of the house itself. This is more really, this is a demo plan, which, again, there's so much work going on in the house as a whole. The architect really did plans that are ready to submit to the building department. So they're not applicable. What I had the architect do, I thought it would be good, is to kind of highlight in green the areas where additions are going. And basically for the volume of the house. And in blue, they put in the accessory apartment. So this is the first floor. Towards the back of the house, this area is the accessory unit with the kitchen, the living area, and then the staircases to get up to the second level. This green is not additions, it's just planters with the patio. So there's no changes here. This is where the changes occur. I mentioned the exercise room, walk-in closet, pretty modest alterations. In the second floor accessory apartment with the bedroom and the bathroom and a little office space. Charlotte Bonner is Natalie's mom. She will live in the accessory apartment. So it is all family and qualifies in that regard. I wanted to point out, and this is kind of the contemplation for the board. Under our bylaw, it's interesting, under 7, which Greg had referred to, it says the accessory apartment shall not involve the extension or enlargement of the principal dwelling, except to provide access or egress, nor shall it change the single-family characteristic of the dwelling. So I posed a question where you have extensions or enlargements like this that have nothing to do with the accessory apartment, is there a need for a variance on that? Or does that section of the bylaw only refer if you're making an extension or enlargement where the accessory apartment is actually going, like was with the Magoon's original proposal with an addition for the accessory apartment? Because in a situation like this, these additions that the Matsons are doing, they're allowed. As I mentioned, they don't need any zoning relief for these additions. These additions are for their convenience in their house, as amenities to their house, for an exercise area and a walk-in closet, have nothing to do with the accessory apartment. None of the additions really enhance that. So, I just wanted, to kind of pose that to the board. And then this is kind of the elevation from the front. So this roof line gets changed with the garage a bit, and then this gets changed here in the front where we have a dormer. And this is the rear. So these were kind of some of the footprint changes that you saw here with the decks and the stairs, etc. And this is the change in the garage in the back. You can see because it gets bumped out. And then I thought it might be helpful, especially for Jim, to kind of do a section on this so you could see, Jim, what's happening here. And then these are the revised elevations. So I think, these are obviously very detailed plans. These go on with framing, which really aren't applicable, but we submitted everything. We're happy to entertain questions from the board, and I'm interested in the board's perspective of your interpretation of that number 7 in a situation like this.
So Brian, if I may, I do agree with what you said, but you could also argue the point that because of the accessory apartment, it's stealing space from their house. So now they have to add on to add that space back.
Yeah, I agree, Joe. I mean, I'm not making an argument either way. I think it's that's why, I kind of defer to the board.
Yeah, no, I mean, you can argue both ways.
I think your interpretation of that would be reasonable. I understand. But in any event, whereas Greg had mentioned, this is not the best written bylaw.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the intent. And, when there's discrepancies in the bylaw or different ways of interpreting, my experience, especially in the land court, the courts are very deferential to the board. They rely on your interpretation of it.
Well, the fact that they're not moving into a newer space, that plays off of, to me, well, the way you explained it makes more sense,
Yeah, so I mean, I think they have a justification for a variance here, again, even if that's required for that, from that section, because you're right, Joe, they're not moving into that space. These are really renovations that they're doing to their house that will go with, that would happen anyways. And they're not, like putting an addition on the house with a footprint, if you will.
Yeah. No, I'm fine with it.
So, Mr. Chair, if I may,
Please.
Brian, just again, going back, because you're right, there's convoluted, going back to the plain language. So it does say the accessory apartment shall not involve, so the accessory apartment shall not involve the extension or enlargement. So I think, sorry, screaming upstairs. The plain language, I think the only question that brings up to me is what exactly are they so what are they losing in the space where the new accessory apartment would be? I think this is even a stretch. The only argument you could really make is to Joe's point that they're taking their space back by extending, is if they're losing a kitchen and then building a kitchen in the new space or something like that. Well, do you know?
Yeah, I think there was an exercise room there, Greg.
Yeah, I heard that, but was there anything, what are they?
I'll take you back there. Hold on.
And even at that, I'm not sure I'm convinced. I just think that's sort of the only argument you can make is if,
This is the existing first floor. They had living, you can see it.
and that's where it's sort of that living area, living kitchen, breakfast, that's where the
Yeah.
apartment's going,
And they're
right?
losing an exercise area here, because that's where the accessory apartment's gonna be.
Yeah. And I
It's-
think that's,
And then I'll go to the, I know it's hard to remember, but this is the first floor. And then the second floor, is here. They're putting an exercise area over here where it had been over here before.
yeah,
It's interesting.
yeah, I mean, I guess I would agree with Brian. It does say the accessory apartment involved, not. And I think the only argument you can make is if you were literally replacing one for one somewhere else, that the accessory apartment involved the extension. But
So
even with that, I think that's a stretch of an argument. It's not like you have to have an accessory, an exercise. If they were not building this if they were not putting in the accessory apartment, they wouldn't be before us for the new exercise room, right?
By right.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's,
And they know you have to call it an exercise room. That could change.
yeah, absolutely, yep.
I mean, that could be just like a playroom, or, maybe they don't use it for
Yeah,
that.
so it's almost a matter of semantics or not even that, a matter of nomenclature that someone put on a drawing. So, yeah, I would agree with Brian.
I wouldn't even use the titles of the rooms as
Yeah.
pointed out, I think here that it's more about the fact that you've offset, just to Joe's point a minute, you've offset other areas to gain some space back. Never mind what the heck it is, all right? That doesn't matter. Can it be anything? So at the front of the building, particularly at the green area we're looking at right now, they pushed out to the wall below because, to give them a lifted roof on that front side. And then, so they've got volume or floor area basically generated there. And then they've taken the garage, which is storage above the garage, and lifted the roof in order to get a usable space. So here again, they've added square footage that was not usable that has become usable now. And so you got to balance that against basically the accessory unit, not about what the rooms are, but just the square footage that they've added. It's not on the ground plane, the unit it's vertically or horizontally, but it's all on another plane, which is on the second floor. So in reality, volume has increased. And why is that volume increased? Because volume has been lost. It's still addition to the building.
But I guess to that point though is, and this is sort of what I said earlier too, is, if you look at subsection 5, there is the term principal dwelling. Subsection 6, there is the term principal dwelling. And what is involved. Number 7 says the accessory apartment shall not involve. Principal dwelling is used in that sentence, but not as the object of what's talking about the extension. So that seems to be conflating two separate issues. In my reading.
Right. I would interpret it similarly that they're not extending or enlarging the building for the use of the accessory apartment, but to gain back space and do other things in part due to the accessory apartment being implemented in another part of the house. So again, I agree. It's a stretch, but if Brian's, they've requested a variance, and if the board sees fit to accept that and grant the variance, then they're covered. Should that question ever come up in the future. If we really were struggling with whether they really needed it, they could withdraw it. But Brian, you'd err on the side of going forward and getting the variance, I assume.
I'm comfortable either way. I mean, I just wanted to, if the board interprets that it's not needed, again, I think, I've done enough of this now that, that good luck trying to, unless it's totally arbitrary and capricious, the courts are look at your interpretation. They always, they really defer to the board. They don't want, that they look at your board as the expert of your bylaw. So you really have it. So if the board says, hey, that doesn't apply, you don't need a variance, I'm comfortable with that. I just I think it's important just to have the board make a determination on how you're going to apply that, just for, so we all know in the future. And I see both arguments. I mean, the other argument, Greg, not to argue against myself, because the goal here is to get it right. It's really not an argument of what I want to accomplish. It's, I guess, an argument on the other side could be the accessory apartment shall not involve the extension or so just the fact that there's a increase happening at the same time, could one say that involves, I think it would be stronger for to say you don't need it if it says the accessory apartment shall not be located in any extension, and it doesn't say that.
Oh, definitely, but we just know how poorly the.
So I guess
things
that,
are divided.
I'm always conservative with these things, and so I defer to Greg's expertise on this, but I'm comfortable with the variance. I mean, what are your thoughts, Greg?
To be clear, I don't have expertise necessarily in this area. I'm a public company corporate governance lawyer, but
Well, you're a lawyer.
just reading
you specialize in interpreting laws. So
but yeah, I mean, my reading, again, the bylaw seems to sort of go in circles, but in reading this section as it is together, I'd be comfortable to say that, what is it, subsection 7 doesn't apply, seeing as it says the accessory apartment shall not involve. That's how I read it. I understand Brian's other way in saying so. I mean, either way, I guess it's whatever the people feel like, and even if they are uncomfortable, to be conservative and vote on a variance instead. I mean, it gets you to the same spot, and maybe saying getting the variance is more conservative from our side, but maybe also safer for your client too. That it's, there is no misinterpretation of the or question of misinterpretation.
Yep.
Because even if we say even if we vote on the variance and assuming it gets approved, even if someone says we misapplied it, well, great, then it doesn't apply. So it ends up in the same spot anyways.
But does this put us in a position later on a decision here that the same interpretation would have to apply to something else?
I kind of agree with that, Jim. I know we don't set precedent with everything. I would rather be conservative here. I don't see a problem with it here per se, but I think we should be mindful of future cases.
And Mr. Chair, if I may, your interpretation of a bylaw here in a decision, like an interpretation, it's not like you're granting relief, you're actually interpreting a section of the bylaw, that will set a precedence.
Okay.
Your board is going to own that in going forward.
And you still have to apply fact to a precedent though. So just because if it's something that is only vaguely similar to a precedent we've set before, doesn't mean it's, well, you have to grant it because you granted it in this vaguely similar one. If it was, just coming up with a hypothetical, which I usually am able to do, but if, this was just overlapping and rather not in its completely separate area, that's different circumstances. So yes, you may set precedent, but the facts aren't necessarily going to be exactly the same. But either way, again, I'm not expressing a view either way, either whether we should go for the conservative side, just sort of expressing how precedent would probably be interpreted.
It could open the door, because if and again, it doesn't apply to this project, but you could have a project that somebody could put a big addition on and just, and kind of end run it a little bit by just putting the accessory apartment, gutting the house and putting the accessory apartment where the original structure was. And, but with a massive addition and saying, hey, we doubled the size of the house, but the accessory is going where the original structure was. So it doesn't involve the extension. So
not to beat a dead horse, but if everything else met the bylaw, then
You can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. I mean, so,
but either way, you get to the same endpoint if you want to vary it anyways.
agreed.
Okay, anyone else? Chip, you have anything to say?
No, I'm good. I mean, this is a debate for lawyers and thus I'm staying out of it because I hate.
You know. that's
Any
why-
other comments or questions?
I would recommend we consider the variance. Again, you could argue it either way, just hearing it the back and forth, like I would err on the side of entertaining the variance.
Yeah, I don't think it hurts us to create the variance.
I agree with that too. Jim, and you guys comfortable with that?
Yeah, I agree with that. Or the,
Okay. All right, correspondence from other town departments. From DPW, no applicable comments. From the fire department, no objection to the project. And from the Conservation Commission, it's not within their jurisdiction. So with that, Brian, could you stop sharing?
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Chair. Apologies.
Thank you. Are there any members of the public that would like to comment on this matter? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board.
Once again, Brian, do you think the order matters here? Or not?
Doesn't matter, just like,
Yeah. The other one, okay. All right, so I'll move that we grant the application for a special permit under Article 4, Section 190-22A1F of the bylaw to allow the applicant at 4 West Park Drive to add an accessory apartment to their single-family dwelling based on the plot plan by Edward J. Farrell dated November 18, 2021, and the architectural plans from Celeste Heineck Architect dated May 10th, 2023.
I'll second that.
Okay, regular voting members, Dave,
Yes,
Joe,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes,
Chip,
Yes,
and I vote yes. So that's granted.
right. So I move that we grant the variance under pursuant to Article 10, 190-66 of the bylaw of the requirements of 190-22A1F7 of the bylaw related to the modifications to the principal dwelling that are on the plans happening coincident with the accessory apartment. And those plans, again, same as previously noted, plot plan by Edward J. Farrell, November 18, 2021, and Celeste Heineck Architects, May 10th, 2023.
Seconded.
Okay, regular voting members, Dave,
Yes,
Joe,
Yes.
Jim,
yes,
yes.
and I vote yes. So that is granted.
thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Appreciate it.
Oh, we got Jim to turn around, huh?
once in a while.
I forgot, Joe, I meant to ask him before whether or not he wanted to vote on it.
I think he's in now.
Joe, don't even push it. Just
Yeah.
Don't bet it. Don't bet
That's-
on it.
he might away he went the next time.
That's true.
Each one's on its own case.
All right, that's the last matter before us on that. So we are at the point where, are there any other matters?
Nothing for me.
I'm good.
Okay,
nothing here.
no. And the minutes we'll get next month. So any comment from the clerk?
Nothing accepted. Did we all get that email about the that thing we gotta do online? What's it? What's the email? The
X training or something?
Yeah.
yeah, all right.
I
So we
didn't
have
get
the end of the
anything.
month or something like that. Yeah. All right.
Who'd you get it from? I didn't get anything.
From Sherry, right?
It's every 2 years, so if like you were reappointed last year, Greg, you probably would have done it. Tom and I think got reappointed, had to do it this year, so.
Yeah, and I got to do it this year.
Yeah, it just depends on when you last did it,
Oh,
so.
look,
The training, yeah, mass conflict, yeah, the conflict of interest, thing. Yeah, that was it.
Clear.
I have one question. Can we somehow get the don't we not allow wavy signs in town or something? Can we somehow get Harvard Mills to take down their now leasing faded, tattered signs that are flapping outside their front door that I drive by every morning? The building is beautiful, other than that they're tattered and faded and every other thing.
There is, I don't think there's any restriction for those under the old old code. There certainly is under the current code. You can't even have them. But since that project's under our control, there's absolutely no reason why we, the board, can't do something about it.
Yeah, Brian, you still on?
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I am.
The problem with Zoom is you can always see it.
Yeah. So, Brian, I think the most efficient way is maybe to
Yeah.
ask you to
Yeah.
write a note to your client.
Yep.
Um,
I'm pretty responsive to that. I will take care of it.
That way, Greg and I don't gotta go down there at night and take them away, so.
Yeah.
Like,
I might do that.
We'll just put them in the lobby for them.
I would just light them up.
All right, anything else?
I'm gonna
one
let
comment.
my-
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Brian.
I would say that Four Corners gas station is, they've demolished the building and they're excavating around the tank for the new tank. So they're moving ahead. I don't know whether, I haven't seen or have I, Gail, seen a building permit?
It's so hard to keep up these days. I'll look tomorrow.
Okay,
Yeah, they are in our office.
I do remember I had reviewed something on that. I don't know.
I
what it
think
was.
you may have, but I'll check in the morning.
And of course, that other apartment building or condo that's just half a block away is getting finished up basically at this point, at least the materials.
Getting there.
The exterior, the interior is still a shell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, so for board members, Tom and I had a productive meeting the other day, and as part of that, I don't know if he has it handy, but he is now in possession of the Tickford Memorial Gavel.
I
When
don't
we
have
do,
it
when
within
we do
arm's
come back
reach.
in person, he can bring it with him every single meeting and bang away, keep order.
And
So
we're
he's
gonna
now-
turn the laser over to Dave or Jim.
Yeah, Memorial Laser, yes.
I think Tom needs a new name. We call him Major Tom. There's a whole song about that,
Oh, the item killed me the other day. I got about 100 texts making fun of me. That I put that thing like that. Everybody's a
what?
comedian.
Did you all see it? Did you see it in the item or online or something? If not, I'll send it. I took a picture and sent it to Tom because I know he's not on Facebook or wherever it was, but anyway, it was good. Headlines, Tom Lucy to lead the board.
I didn't know it was that important.
I was gonna say, my
That's
phone
fine.
blew up. Some pretty funny things people sent me, but nothing I can repeat here.
Yeah, but Tom, your first meeting was only an hour and 18 minutes, so you got it made,
Yeah, no, thank you, Dave, thank you, Gail. I only almost missed one continuance, and it's a little choppy, but we're a work in progress.
You're a natural.
There we-
The work in progress.
Didn't seem choppy at all. It was
Yeah,
perfect.
I'll tell you what, Dave, I did share the hell out of those continuances, so when I did,
Yeah.
All right, I think a motion to adjourn is in order.
So moved.
All in
Second.
favor? Aye.
Yeah.
Here we go. Thanks, folks.
See you in August.
in a month.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Safe travels, Kasumi.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.